Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Frederique Constant Heartbeat Moonphase date. This watch is available from your local Frederique Constant stockist and from frederiqueconstant.com for €1,995. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the specifications of the piece. So the watch comes in a watch box which is housed inside this outer cardboard box. On the lid to the outer box we have the brand emblem, Frederique Constant logo, Geneva, and the brand motto, Live Your Passion. So I remove the lid to the outer box, which is a snug fit, pulls down the flap, and I'll take out the watch box and show it to you. In the base of the outer box we also have a cutout, and that houses the items which I'll show you. So this is the watch box itself, made from plastic and vinyl coated. The vinyl is dark green, has a grained finish to it, rather like genuine leather. And on the top of the hinge lid, again we have the emblem, brand logo, Geneva, and the brand motto. Flawless stitching around the perimeter of the hinge lid, and also on the base, no loose stitches, very nicely executed. Every side of it is coated with grained dark green vinyl to a good standard, and it does look like genuine leather, very aesthetically pleasing. Spring-loaded hinge lid. And the interior is fully upholstered with contrasting white vinyl to a good standard. And again, we have the emblem, brand logo, Geneva, and brand motto. Base is also fully upholstered with contrasting white vinyl to a good standard. There's a cutout in the base which houses this padded pillow cushion which the watch sits upon. Padded pillow cushion is also upholstered to a good standard with white vinyl, and it's a snug fit in the base, so it does a good job of protecting the watch in shipping from any damage. And immediately one gets the impression that this Frederique Constant Heartbeat Moonphase date is a high quality Swiss made piece, so excellent presentation and an example to other mid-tier brands of how to get presentation correct. With regards to items, one gets this cardboard international warranty card. There's a QR code that can be scanned with your Android or iPhone to activate the 2-year international warranty. Alternatively, you can visit their website, frederiqueconstant.com/international warranty, and you can activate and register your 2-year warranty online as an alternative to scanning the QR code. On the reverse, there's a second QR code for e-warranty activation and benefits. Now, the purpose of this is the watch comes with a 2-year international warranty, that is the standard. However, if you activate the warranty online, either by scanning the QR code or registering it online, frederiqueconstant.com/warranty activation, that will extend the 2-year international warranty by an additional 12 months to 3 years. I want to give due credit to Frederique Constant here because often mid-tier pieces, and to clarify and remind you, mid-tier is €500 to €5,000 price point. This is €1,995 respectively. Often mid-tier pieces are only covered with a 1 or 2 year international warranty. To get 3 years of international warranty is excellent, and Frederique Constant deserve full credit for that. It's very good to be able to extend it from the standard 2 years to an additional 3 years simply by registering it and activating it online. And lastly, one also gets this plastic tag which has the full reference number for the Heartbeat Moonphase date. We also have the specification, brand emblem, and the barcode for the piece. Now, notably, the one thing that's absent from this is an owner's instruction manual in the form of a printed booklet with clear, concise diagrams, instructions in English, detailing the operation of the movement used, which is the Frederique Constant Caliber FC-335 automatic. As an alternative to a printed booklet owner's instruction manual, they could simply include a cardboard card with a QR code that could be scanned with an Android or iPhone to download the owner's instruction manual. So that's something I'd like to see included, but nonetheless, we'll move through to the specifications of the piece. So we have a 40mm case diameter. We have a 44.5mm lug-to-lug measurement, a thickness of 11mm, and a lug width of 20mm. The genuine leather strap is made from calf leather, and it's alligator pattern in navy blue with contrasting white stitching around the edges. Matte finish to it rather than glossy, and it tapers from 22mm at the lugs down to the buckle and tang. Solid 316L grade stainless steel buckle and tang, flawless mirror polishing to the top side, underside and flanks. No sharp edges, no sharp corners or burrs, and the undercuts to the buckle have been deburred and chamfered very well. In the top left corner, we have the Frederique Constant emblem engraved with high definition engraving, and that does give the buckle and tang a high quality feel. It's a padded calf leather strap, so it is thicker at the spring bar end where it needs to be reinforced, and then it tapers down in thickness and also in width from the spring bar end down to the buckle and tang end. And although it does feel stiff at the spring bar end, at the buckle and tang end it is soft and supple, so I'm confident with daily wear it will become broken in and very comfortable. With regards to the rest of the specification, we have a double dome sapphire crystal with clear AR coating on the underside, and the clear anti-reflective coating does an outstanding job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the double dome sapphire crystal, and also the silver mirror polished ring around the open heart in the Clou de Paris guilloche dial, which is navy blue. My favourite aspect of this piece is the Clou de Paris guilloche dial. So in the centre section we have guilloche finishing, and the type of guilloche finishing is called Clou de Paris. Frederique Constant deserves full credit here because this is very high definition Clou de Paris finishing, and it's got a lovely textured finish to it. Rather than just being a glossy enamel dial or alternatively sunray navy blue dial, this Clou de Paris guilloche finishing really does gives this piece a high tier level finish. It really does remind me of the execution of a high tier dial on a €10,000+ price point piece. But we're not looking at a €10,000+ dial here. What we're looking at is a mid-tier piece costing €1,995, and it's very unusual to see Clou de Paris guilloche dials at this price point. Now, around the circumference of the dial, we've got Arabic numerals, and these are for the date complication. So this piece is powered by the Frederique Constant Caliber FC-335, which is based upon the SW200-1, and that's effectively modified with an open heart complication, Moonphase complication, and also date complication around the circumference. Now, usually the SW200-1, which the FC-335 is based upon, would have a date complication, a date window at the default position of 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock. But this has a Moonphase complication at 6, so they can't put a date window at 6. And of course, we could have a date complication at 3 o'clock, but what they've done is, as an alternative to that, we have an open heart at 12, and then we have the date complication, the Arabic numerals around the circumference of the dial. So rather than having a rotating date wheel beneath the dial and exposing it with an aperture in a date window, what we have is a hand on the cannon pinion, and the hand indicates the date around the circumference, which is interesting. It adds interest to the Clou de Paris guilloche dial. Moonphase complication has a cutout, and it's very well proportioned and well executed. Quality of the printing on the Moonphase is high definition, both of the silver moon and the silver stars. The Roman numerals, opposed to applied indices, printed indices, or alternatively Arabic numerals, they are high definition and crisp. The quality of the font of the Roman numerals is sharp, it's crisp and high definition. The font isn't too thick and blurry. Quality of the printing on the dial throughout is excellent on the Clou de Paris guilloche dial. The Arabic numerals for the date around the circumference are clear, they're easy to read, and the Roman numerals are correctly proportioned. They're not too large, but they're large enough to be easy to read. Also, the handset is correctly proportioned. Now, there's no loom on the hands, but they're white, and the white paint is matte, and it matches the matte paint used on the Roman numerals and the Arabic numerals for the date, and they contrast very well with the dark navy blue Clou de Paris guilloche dial. The dial is very dark navy, and in some low light conditions it almost looks black. That's how dark it is. But credit where credit's due. The alligator pattern calf leather strap is also very dark navy blue, and that complements the navy blue Clou de Paris guilloche dial. So I like the symmetry of the dial. With the open heart at 12, it balances the cutout for the Moonphase at 6, and I don't think it's detrimental. I don't think it's a negative that we don't have a date window or date complication at 3, because that would delete the 3 Roman numerals, and therefore that would unbalance the dial. It would look asymmetrical. As it stands, it looks symmetrical. I like the open heart, which is correctly proportioned. Also, good attention to detail, because we've got this mirror polished silver ring around the open hearts, which displays the balance wheel. The open heart does add interest to it, because the front of the piece is glazed with sapphire crystal, as is the exhibition case back. So this allows light to enter the dial, go through the open heart, through to the sapphire crystal. You can actually see daylight through it. You can view it through the front of the dial all the way through to the back. So that's something I really like about it. They've done a very good job of the open hearts. Now, with regards to the bezel, it's solid 316L grade stainless steel, domed profile to it. It's low profile, so it allows the double dome sapphire crystal to project above it. The edge of the double dome sapphire crystal has a bevel on the edge of it which catches the light, and it's very aesthetically pleasing. I think they've made the correct choice of using a domed bezel versus a flat profile bezel, because this gives the piece an Art Deco feel to it, and I really like the curved profile because it complements the curved profile to the flanks of the case and the curved profile to the lugs. So we've got good continuity of design because we've got a curved domed bezel, curved flanks, curved lugs. All 3 places match, and it really does look like an Art Deco daily wear or dress piece. correctly proportioned bezel, and with regards to the case, flawless mirror polishing throughout. Every facet of the case is mirror polished to the same high quality level. With mirror polishing, with cases like this, the first area I look at is in between the lugs, because in between the lugs, when they're mirror polished, this is often an area where mid-tier brands and mid-tier micro brands between €500 and €5,000 cut production costs in order to maximise profit margin per piece. And they use the common production cost cutting measure of not finishing in between the lugs to the same high quality level as the bezel, the flanks, the lugs and the underside of the case. So, for example, they will machine or brush satin finish or just mill in between the lugs, and they won't mirror polish it because, of course, mirror polishing internally inside the lugs adds significant production cost and production time and therefore diminishes profit margin per piece. What I want to do is give due credit to Frederique Constant here, because in between the lugs, the internals are mirror polished to the same high quality level as the bezel, the flanks, the top of the lugs, and also the underside to the head of the piece. Quality of the mirror polishing on this piece, make no mistake about it, this is high tier level mirror polishing, and to put it into perspective, the quality of the mirror polishing is as good as the very best of Zaratsu case polishing used by Grand Seiko, and that really is some of the best mirror polishing I've seen. With regards to the crown, it's solid 316L grade stainless steel, knurled finish, nice large chamfer which deletes the tips of the knurled teeth, and it is mirror polished on the cap and embossed with the Frederique Constant shield emblem to a high standard. Correctly proportioned. What I like about the crown is it's a push-pull crown providing 50 metres of hermetic seal, which is perfectly acceptable for a daily wear piece. This does not need a screw-down crown and 100 metres, for example. But what I like about it in particular is the proportions. It's large enough to be grippy and tactile. You can get good purchase with your index finger and thumb to manually wind it when it's closed, but it's not too large. It doesn't project too far from the right-hand flank. And again, this is something that often mid-tier brands and mid-tier micro brands between €500 and €5,000 get incorrect. It's a fundamental. The proportions of the crown should match the proportions of the head of the piece. Often they use a crown which is oversized, like a dive watch crown, and the problem with that is when you flex the wrist, the crown digs into the back of the hand, therefore it's uncomfortable, it diminishes comfort level and feel good factor as a result. This crown is large enough, but it's not too large, and the knurled finishing is grippy and tactile. You can easily get good purchase on it, but it does fit the aesthetic because this is Art Deco style with a domed bezel, curved lugs and curved flanks, and a knurled crown therefore is appropriate versus using a gear tooth crown, alternatively coin edge crown. I think it's the right choice. So when it's closed, one can manually wind the Frederique Constant Caliber FC-335 automatic, which as I've detailed is based upon the Sellita SW200-1, which is Swiss made since 2012. So 40 clockwise turns is enough to fully manually wind the mainspring when it's fully exhausted or fully unwound to its maximum 40-hour power reserve. Feels nice and smooth. One can feel the tension in the mainspring gradually building up. It doesn't feel rough or gritty, doesn't feel too stiff, feels refined, feels smooth, and I like the feeling of it. Pulling it out to the first click position is the quick set date complication, and it is also the Moonphase complication. So to clarify, now just bear with me, I'm going to move the minute hand out of the way first, and then you'll be able to see the Moonphase better. So pulling it out to the first click, it serves two purposes. It's the quick set date complication and also the Moonphase complication, because the Moonphase complication is driven off the date complication. So to rotate the crown clockwise, if you look at the 6 o'clock position on the Clou de Paris Guilloche dial, you can see the Moonphase complication advances, and it does feel rather like advancing a date complication. It's like moving a date wheel around. So it feels nice and smooth, and I like the refinements of it. It feels nice and solid, doesn't feel rough or gritty, doesn't feel too stiff. It's got medium resistance to it, and you can see the moon and also the stars for the Moonphase complication gradually cycle through the 29.5 days of a moon phase. So it feels very smooth. The definition of the printing of the silver stars and the definition of the printing of the silver moon is high definition. I like the light blue tone of the night sky, and I like the silver tone of the stars and the silver tone of the moon. So the quality of the printing on the Moonphase complication is excellent. Now, while we're in the Moonphase complication, we're also in the date quick set complication. So rotating the crown in the opposite direction, anti-clockwise, advances the quick set date. Now, as I've detailed, as an alternative to a date wheel, what we have here is an extra hand added to the cannon pinion. So we have 4 hands versus the standard 3. So to clarify, usually the SW200-1, which this is based upon, has 3 hands stacked on the cannon pinion, an hour hand, minute hand and second hand respectively. This Frederique constant caliber FC-335 automatic is effectively a modified SW200-1. So we have a cutout for the open hearts, and then we have a cutout for the Moonphase complication. They delete the date wheel from the SW200-1, and as an alternative to the date wheel, they add an additional hand stacked on the cannon pinion, so we have a date hand. And if you look at the 3 o'clock position now, I want you to look at the arrowhead tip to the date. When I rotate the knurled crown anti-clockwise, this advances the quick set date complication, and each day of the month clicks with a nice positive click. It feels exactly the same as advancing the quick set date complication on a standard SW200-1. It feels like the date wheel clicking over to the next day of the month. That's what I'm referring to. So the hand clicks over. It's not just friction based, it has a nice positive click. The alignment is bang on the center, so the arrowhead tip aligns perfectly with the Arabic numerals on the circumference of the dial as an alternative to a chaptering with minute ticks. I like it. The legibility is good. What I like about the date hand is it is long enough. The tip of it to the arrowhead tip extends all the way to the date Arabic numerals. So it clicks over to the next day of the month, just the same as an SW200-1 quick set date complication when you're clicking over the date with the date wheel inside a date window at 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock, which you'll all be familiar with. So it feels good when you cycle through the 31 days of the month. The alignment is correct, bang on the center. I like the positive clicking. It's got a loud audible click, and also you can feel the clicks of the day of the month clicking over. Feels very good. And again, you can also rotate it clockwise. Just bear with me, I'll move it out of the way of the Moonphase complication to show you again. So when you're in the date setting position, you can rotate the crown clockwise in the other direction. And if you look at the Moonphase complication, you can see the moon and the stars now cycle through. So this is excellent. It's functional, easy to use, it's intuitive, and I really like the feeling of it. It feels reliable and robust. Both the Moonphase complication feels solid, and also the quick set date complication works as well as the date wheel, which is the industry standard. So pulling it out to the second click hacks the movements, and if you look at the second hand, you can see it's now stopped dead, so therefore it's possible to set the time precisely to the second with a Frederique constant caliber FC-335 automatic. So we're now in the time setting position. When you rotate the knurled crown clockwise and anti-clockwise, you can cycle through the 12 hours, and you can see the hour and minute hand are correctly proportioned. The hour hand is shorter, the minute hand is clearly longer, therefore you can immediately tell the difference, so reading the time is easy, the functionality, the legibility is good. The matte white handset contrasts very well, although it does have 4 hands versus the standard 3, an hour, minute and second hand respectively. We've got the addition of the date hand. It is actually very easy to become accustomed to looking at the 4 hands and immediately being able to read the time and immediately being able to read the date, because the date hand has the arrowhead tip to it, and the hour and minute hand don't have the arrowhead tips. So you can immediately look at the date simply by looking for the arrowhead tip on the date hand. You're not going to accidentally confuse it with the minute hand, for example. So it actually works very well. The second hand is a needlepoint second hand, so again, you can't confuse that. And although it does have 4 hands on the cannon pinion, the legibility is good. It's surprisingly easy to read. So when you rotate the knurled crown clockwise and anti-clockwise, there's an almost immediate response. You don't have to take up a lot of slack, and I really like that. There's less slack than in a Seiko NH35A, for example, which you'll all be familiar with, and it feels very good. Now, mechanically, there is a reason for the backplay. It is necessary to have some backplay in the meshing of the gearing, because if it did not have the backplay, when you push back in the crown, when the winding stem enters the movement, it would cause the minute hand to jump out of position. But by having some backplay in the meshing of the gearing, it allows the minute hand to remain static. So when the winding stem enters the movement, it doesn't cause the gears, the meshing of the gears to jump, and therefore the minute hand to jump out of position. It remains static at all times, as it should do. Pushing it back in, it's got a nice positive click, and that restarts the movement. If you look at the second hand, you can see it now begins to sweep around the dial at the characteristic smooth 4 Hz sweep. Aesthetically, this is something I really like about the caliber FC-335. It has a smooth 4Hz sweep versus the stutter and judder of a movement running at 3Hz, which is 21,600 vibrations per hour. 28,800 vibrations per hour and 4Hz gives a nice smooth sweep. It's far more aesthetically pleasing. So push-pull crown works well. Manual winding feels smooth. Setting the time works well. Quick set complication works well. Moonphase complication works well. It's excellent. 50 meters of hermetic seal is perfectly acceptable. So let's look at the strap in detail. So as I've detailed, genuine leather strap made from calf leather. Flawless stitching around the perimeter in contrasting white. Matte navy blue finish to it. Now, it's alligator pattern. I think they've made the correct choice by using a matte navy blue strap versus glossy. Had they used a glossy leather, that would have made it look more like a dress piece. This is more versatile as a result, because using a matte strap versus glossy means this looks more like a daily wear piece, and with the navy blue Clou de Paris Guilloche dial having a matte finish rather than glossy enamel finish, this complements the matte finish of the strap. So this could be worn as a daily wear piece, but it also has the versatility. It could also be worn as a dress piece, but they have made the correct decision on the strap finishing. So it's padded. It's very thick around the spring bar end where it needs to be reinforced. It does feel stiff around the spring bar end, so it is going to require some breaking in at that end, but when you get down to the buckle and tang end, it's more soft and supple. So in terms of how supple it does feel as soft and supple as a Hirsch calf leather strap, which is made in Austria, alternatively a Horween Shell Cordovan strap, which is tanned in Chicago, and they are the very best of calf leather and top grain leather respectively. Quality of the calf leather is clearly high grade. I'm just going to undo it and show you the underside. So, on one side, we have Frederique constant, brand emblem, and Geneva embossed, and 22, which denotes the lug width. The underside has a tan tone to the liner and matching tan stitching. Feels perfectly smooth, so therefore it feels very comfortable to wear for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day. This will fit from a minimum 6-inch wrist size to a maximum 7.5 inch. There's enough holes for 6 to 7.5, which is good. However, subjectively, I'm going to be critical of one aspect. This does not have quick release stainless steel spring bars. This uses standard spring bars. Now, this means one has to use a spring bar tool. This does have a flawless mirror polishing to the tips of the lugs. However, the problem with that is when you have stiff, thick padded straps like this, alligator pattern calf leather straps, it can be difficult to compress the edge of the strap internally inside the mirror polished lugs with a spring bar tool without slipping off the spring bar and scuffing and scratching the lugs. That's the negative. However, one can negate that by using Kapton polyamide tape. For example, when I'm changing a strap and it's stiff and there's a risk of slipping off the spring bar and scuffing and scratching the lugs, I coat the lugs with Kapton polyamide tape, and that protects the lugs. So if you slip off with a spring bar tool, you're not going to scratch them. But however, nonetheless, I would like to see Frederique Constant updates this to quick release stainless steel spring bars, because that would negate the need for a spring bar tool, and using quick release spring bars in padded leather straps like this makes it much easier to exchange the strap for an alternative, because you're not going to accidentally slip off the spring bar. You just use the quick release lever, and it's much easier to engage the spring bar internally inside the lugs and also exchange it. So I would like to see them change the standard spring bars to quick release spring bars, but that's what we have. And on this side it says Croco calf, and that refers to this being genuine calf leather, but of course alligator pattern. So the liners are perfectly smooth, which is good, and on the buckle and tang side, we've got two keepers. Just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus. First keeper is stitched into position, so it can't move. Second keeper slides up and down, plenty of adjustment. And I like the tone of the leather. It's got a nice matte tone to the navy blue, and we've got the alligator pattern to it. It is soft and supple at the buckle and tang end, so with daily wear, it's going to break in and become very soft and supple. Let's look at the exhibition case back in detail. So sapphire crystal glazed exhibition case back. I want to give due credit to Frederique Constant here, because strictly speaking, an exhibition case back doesn't need to be glazed with sapphire crystal. They could have used the production cost cutting measure of mineral crystal. So why do I say that? Well, the front of the piece is prone to wear and tear with daily wear, and therefore that does need to be harder and more scratch resistant, and sapphire crystal is the correct choice. But with an exhibition case back, one can use mineral crystal. It does provide the same amount of hermetic seal, 50 meters, with the same thickness, but of course reduces production costs per piece. This is glazed with sapphire crystal, so I'm pleased to see Frederique Constant didn't use any production cost cutting measure. Does a good job of displaying the movements, which, as I've detailed, is the Frederique Constant caliber FC-335 FC-335 automatic, which is based upon the SW200-1. Now, it's undecorated. It's a standard grade of SW200-1. It's not the elaborate grade. It's not the chronometer grade or top grade, so we don't have pelage finishing and we don't have blued screws, but nonetheless, they have added a Frederique Constant decorated rotor in gilt. So it's signed with Frederique Constant and it says 26 joules Swiss made, and it's gilt rather than just being silver, and we have milled stripes which are rather like Côtes du Genève or Geneva stripes. Nice to see decoration on the rotor, which adds some interest to the otherwise undecorated movement. For example, the main plate and the bridges don't have pelage finishing as per the elaborate, chronometer grade and top grade versions of the SW200-1. So it's fair enough. Nice and low profile. Stainless steel portion is mirror polished to a flawless standard. Milled slots are deburred and chamfered very well. Quality of the mirror polishing is excellent, and I like the cursive fonts used for the engraving, which is laser etched around the circumference. And it says Frederique Constant, Moonphase, dates, and also the water resistance rating, which is 6 ATM, which is 60 metres. So I want to clarify, I've made an error because I stated the crown was 50 metres water resistant. It's actually 60. And also, of course, the exhibition case back is 60 metres. It's 6 ATM. So to clarify, this is 60 metres water resistant. We have the serial number and reference number of the piece. What I like about it is its low profile. We're not looking at a deep bubble back case back. Now, often SW200-1 powered pieces, which is the base of this FC-335, often they have a deep bubble back case back, but this has a low profile case back, as you can see. And of course, that's the benefit of this being 60 metre water resistant. For example, if this were 100 metres, or 200 metres as per a dive piece, the sapphire crystal would need to be thicker, and also the exhibition caseback, the stainless steel portion would need to be thicker and have more depth to provide enough hermetic seal. But it's only 60 metres, so the sapphire crystal can be thinner, the stainless steel portion can be thinner, and it's still a screw down caseback, and therefore it's not deep, it's not a bubble back caseback. The benefit of that is, the point I'm making is this piece is only 11 millimetres. Now bear in mind, it doesn't have a flat sapphire crystal in the front, it's double domed, and that does add some thickness, but 11 millimetres is very good for a piece with an open heart, Moonphase complication, and of course dates complication, as well as an exhibition caseback, which adds some thickness. I would expect this to be 12 millimetres plus. 11 millimetres is very low profile. So they have made the correct decision by not using 100 metres hermetic seal on the case back. They've reduced the thickness. 11 is very good. So it's low profile, perfectly smooth. Comfort level and feel good factor are good. Mirror polishing to the undercuts to the flanks is good. Nice large chamfers. I like the curved profile to the flanks. Curved profile to the tips of the lugs means there's no sharp corners. Quality of the exhibition case back finishing is stellar. Right, so I'll give you a wrist shot. Just bear with me. I'll remove my Concord 40 and then I'll show you how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. So calf leather strap does feel stiff, but I'm confident with daily wear it's going to break in and become very comfortable. Now I just want to see, does this fit my wrist? Can I engage it in the next hole? Yes, I think I can, just about. Just bear with me. It's a tight fit. Right, so this is the absolute maximum. Now, this will fit from a 6-inch minimum up to a maximum 7.5-inch wrist. It does fit my 8-inch wrist. I can just slide an index finger beneath a buckle and tang at all times. So this is its absolute maximum. I've got one spare hole. I can just engage, to show you, the end of the strap in the first fixed keeper. But it's slightly too short by 1/2 inch to engage fully in the second sliding keeper. However, I'm not going to be critical of this. For the majority of collectors with a 6 to 7.5 inch wrist, this genuine calf leather strap will suffice. As you can see, the tip of the end of the strap does just protrude beyond the second sliding keeper. So if this were 1/2 inch longer, it would easily fit my 8-inch wrist. 7.5 inches is the maximum, no problems whatsoever. There is still a spare hole in it, but realistically 6 to 7.5 is the size that this will support. I can just slide the index finger beneath it. In terms of comfort level, although it's a thick padded strap, it's surprisingly soft and supple, rather like a Hirsch calf leather strap, alternatively Horween shell cordovan strap as I've detailed. What I like about this piece is wrist presence is good, but it doesn't feel like a top heavy piece. The thing I like about this piece, there are two things. Above all else, the thickness. This is only 11 millimeters. It's a low profile piece. The curvature is very good. The curved lugs wrap around the wrist very well. This does not sit on top of the wrist like a thick slab of 316L grade stainless steel. It's only 11 millimeters. Now you'll know from my previous reviews, Anything below 13mm is the sweet spot for a daily wear piece to easily slip underneath a shirt cuff if you wear business shirts. Needless to say, at 13 it is 2mm below the 13 sweet spot, so 11mm is very practical for a daily wear piece and potentially a dress piece. The other thing I like about this piece is the lack of heft. It's surprisingly lightweight for an automatic. It's only 62 grams on this genuine calf leather strap, which is alligator pattern. I would expect this to be in excess of 75 grams for a 40mm head of the piece on a leather strap. 62 is exceptionally light because one has to bear in mind this also has a sapphire crystal glazed exhibition case back, which does add some thickness, and of course it's an automatic, so therefore it's going to be heavier than a mechanical manual wind movement piece or alternatively a quartz powered piece. If this were 11mm and only 62 grams and it were quartz powered or mechanical manual wind powered, that would be nothing special. That would not impress me. But for an automatic which is based upon the SW200-1, this does impress me. 11mm is very low profile, and this is the benefit of it being only 60 meters. Now, had they increased it to 100 meters to increase the specification, they would have had to use a thicker sapphire crystal glazing in the exhibition case back and also a thicker sapphire crystal in the front. That would bring this up to 12mm plus. That would diminish the comfort level and the feel-good factor as a result. So this is very good because often SW200-1 powered pieces, they are too thick. They're 12mm plus, which is far too thick for a daily wear piece for comfort level and feel-good factor. 11mm is excellent. Nice low profile flanks. Again, what I like about it is it doesn't have thick slab sides to the flanks. Curved profiling looks Art Deco, matches the curved profile to the domed bezel and the curved lug. So it does have an Art Deco aesthetic. But what I like about the curved lugs versus flat straight lugs is the curved profile actually deletes the meat. Visually it looks low profile and feels low profile. So this has versatility. The Clou de Paris guilloche dial is very aesthetically pleasing. It could be worn as a daily wear piece. It could also be worn as a dress piece due to the open heart and also the Moonphase complication, giving it that daily wear and dress piece aesthetic. The matte white hands are correctly proportioned. The Roman numerals also give it a dress watch aesthetic. So I really like the versatility of it. The double dome sapphire crystal is low domed. It almost looks flat. And again, correct decision after correct decision, because had they used a taller dome on the double dome sapphire crystal, that would have brought this up to 12mm plus. It would have looked top heavy and felt top heavy. So 62 grams is very light. That's one thing I like. 11mm is low profile. That's the second thing I like. And they really deserve credit because they've got it correct. Is there anything I dislike? Is there anything I would change? Yes, there is one thing. 22mm lug width. I think 20mm would have looked more appropriate, a 20mm lug width for a 40mm head of the piece. 22 is better suited to 41 and 42mm heads of pieces. When you have a 39 or a 40, the industry standard is to use a 20. 22 looks slightly wide, but one could argue the wider alligator pattern calf leather strap does look aesthetically pleasing because it is 2mm wider, tapering down to the buckle and tang. When it gets down to the buckle and tang, it does look slender enough. For example, the buckle and tang isn't too thick. It's not too bulky as per an 18mm wide buckle and tang. So it's correctly proportioned. The taper is aggressive. So although it's slightly wider than I would like, I'd prefer a 20 versus 22. The taper is aggressive. And then when it gets down to the buckle and tang doesn't look too wide as per a dive watch strap. That's the point I'm making. It does actually look correctly proportioned. It does distribute the weight of the piece across the strap nice because it's nice and wide. Does look aesthetically pleasing. Dark navy blue matches the dark navy blue of the Clou de Paris guilloche dial. And as I've detailed, it's a very dark navy, so in some low light conditions it almost looks black. And the strap is also a very dark navy blue, almost looks black. And the colour tone match is very good. Again, this is something I want to give due credit to Frederique Constant for, because the Clou de Paris guilloche dial, the dark navy matches the dark navy of the calf leather strap. The dial and the strap, they complement each other. Often it's the case with mid-tier pieces. The dial and the strap are slightly different colour tones. For example, you have a lighter blue dial, darker blue strap. This has the same navy blue Clou de Paris dial, same navy blue alligator pattern calf leather strap. The colour tones are very well matched, so good attention to detail. Legibility is good. One can clearly read the dates complication. Moonphase complication is easy to read. The Roman numerals are clearly printed, so the time is easy to read. And I like it. The dial layout has good symmetry. The open heart adds interest to it. I'm just going to take it off the wrist and show you the open heart again, because it's something I really like about this piece. When you view the open heart, now if you look, you can see straight through it, from the front sapphire crystal to the back sapphire crystal. You can see daylight through it. That's the point I'm making. And when you turn it over, just bear with me, I'll move the rotor out of the way. You can actually see daylight all the way through it. You can see the balance wheel running, the open heart. And I really like that aspect of it because it adds interest. Being able to see all the way through the front sapphire crystal, through the dial, through the balance wheel and the open heart, all the way through to the back, the exhibition case back. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. Now, the movement is undecorated, as I've detailed. We're not looking at the elaborate grade or the chronometer grade or top grade SW200-1, which this FC-335 is based upon. But however, it is nice to have an open heart in a Moonphase complication dates piece like this. Nice to be able to see the balance wheel. There you can see it. You can actually see daylight through it, all the way from the front to the back. And I really like that aspect, the open heart aspect. It adds interest to the Clou de Paris Guilloche dial. Right, so there's no loom on the dial and hands, therefore we don't need to do a loom test. So I'll move on, but just bear with me and I'll put back on my Concorde 40 and then I'll continue. Right, so let's discuss the movement use because it's one of my favourite aspects of the piece. So as I've detailed, to remind you, this is powered by the Frederique Constant Caliber FC-335 automatic, which is based upon a Sellita SW200-1 automatic, which is Swiss made, and Sellita have been making the SW200-1 since 2012. So at this stage, in 2025, it's a reliable, well-proven workhorse movement. To put this into perspective, Sellita make an incredible 800,000 SW200-1s per annum. And they've been making it since 2012, so its reliability has now been proven beyond question. It's the ideal base for the Frederique Constant Caliber FC-335. So what they do is they delete the date complication. There's no date wheel. They add an open heart to it, and they also add a Moonphase complication to it. So rather than having a dates complication with a date window, as I've detailed, what they add is an additional date hand to the hand stack height on the cannon pinion. So we now have 4 hands versus the standard 3, hour, minutes and seconds. We have the addition of a dates hand. And the date complication also drives the Moonphase complication, as I've detailed. So effectively it's a modified SW200-1 standard grade. The only difference to it is they add the Frederique Constant signed rotor in gilt versus the standard Sellita SW200-1 silver rotor. Has 26 joules. It runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 4 Hz. Has hand winding and hacking, which use for complications, and as I've demonstrated, work well. Quick set date complication works well, and the Moonphase Moonphase complication also works well. The Moonphase complication is driven off the date complication, and it works well on the crown, both clockwise and anti-clockwise. So, accuracy. Standard grade of SW200-1, which it is based upon, has an accuracy of plus or minus 12 seconds to plus or minus 30 seconds per day. So a rather wide accuracy range. However, I'm pleased to report that Frederique Constant are doing a good job of regulating the Caliber FC-335 in 5 positions to chronometer accuracy. This one is running consistently at plus 6 seconds per day, which is within chronometer accuracy of minus 4 to plus 6. Plus 6 is well within the stated accuracy of plus or minus 12 to plus or minus 30, the standard grade of SW200-1. So, excellent movements. Reliable, well proven, workhorse Swiss caliber. Build quality, quality control, materials and finishing are excellent. Subjectively, if one's going to be critical, one could say, well, at €1,995, I would like to see a higher grade of SW200-1 used as the base. For example, I'd like to see an elaborate, alternatively chronometer grade, or alternatively top grade used. But one has to be magnanimous because they are modifying it, and that does add production costs per piece to the movement. For example, they're deleting the date complication, they're adding an open heart complication, they're also adding a Moonphase complication to it. All of these things add production costs, and credit where credit's due. They didn't just use the standard Sellita steel rotor, which is silver. They've added this gilt rotor, which has milled stripes, like Côtes du Genève or Geneva stripes, and they've also signed it with Frederique Constant. So they have modified the rotor as well. All of these things add production costs. One has to factor that in. It is expensive to modify an SW200-1 with an open heart and a Moonphase complication. So I would like to see an elaborate grade with pelage finishing and blued screws just to add some decoration, but however, it is the correct choice. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch meets 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price points. So, mid-tier piece. Mid-tier is €500 to €5,000. Price point of this piece is €1,995 respectively. I'm going to declare it excellent quality, and I'm going to declare the value as okay. So why do I say the value is okay? Why don't I say it's good or excellent? The reason is this does face some stiff competition from other mid-tier brands and mid-tier micro brands at €1,995. One has to appreciate the addition of the warranty. So what I'm referring to is often mid-tier brands and mid-tier micro brands only have a 1 to 2 year warranty. The industry standard for mid-tier pieces is a 2-year international warranty. I want to give due credit and remind you of the possibility you can extend the 2-year warranty, which is standard, to 3 years. And 3 years of warranty does add value to the piece. One has to factor in the 3-year warranty because they're clearly confident in the modification of the SW200-1 with the Moonphase and the open heart. That's good. 3 years of warranty adds value. But nonetheless, at €1,995, this does face some stiff competition. I appreciate it's an open heart Moonphase complication date piece, Swiss made. All of these things add value. The quality control, build quality is all excellent. But I think they need to lower the price point slightly in order to make this more competitive in the mid-tier. I'd like to see it lowered from €1,995, for example, to €1,700 or €1,800 respectively. That would make this more competitive. The other thing they could do is upgrade the movement, the grade of it. Still use the SW200-1, but upgrade to an elaborate, chronometer or top grade. For example, if this were chronometer or top grade and it were COSC certified, yes, then it would definitely become excellent quality and excellent value, because COSC certification, if this were chronometer accurate and COSC certified, this would be stellar accuracy, and of course €1,995, that would be excellent quality and excellent value. So I'd like to see the movement upgraded from standard to elaborate grade or chronometer or top grade. But everything else about it is good. So I'm going to highly recommend it to you for consideration. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Frederique Constant Heartbeat Moonphase date. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you for watching.